going on, everyone? Welcome back to TTP Sports. Phillies do take the series against the Nationals. That is the most important thing to point out. They take 2 of 3 in this series. Realistically, you think they could have swept this series if it wasn't for the flukiness against Duran on Friday. Thankfully, they do find a way to win this series. Ranger Suarez today was very good, very dominant. 10 plus strikeouts once again. He goes 7 strong innings in this game. Offensively, they did leave a lot of meat on the bones. They were getting to Irvin a lot, getting a lot of base runners. They just couldn't bring those base runners home unless it was Rafael Marchand in the 9-hole in this game with a huge 2-out RBI double that scored 2 runs. He also had a huge bases loaded walk that made it a 3-0 lead. Still, you left a lot of meat on the bones, and for some reason, I don't know why this Phillies team struggles against the Nationals bullpen. But I guess the good news is you will not see this Nationals bullpen for the rest of the season because this is the last time you play the Washington Nationals this season. So I guess that's also the bright spot. And you will also not see this pesky Nationals team for the rest of the season that just doesn't die. They just don't die. And I will give a lot of credit, though, to Rob Thompson. Rob Thompson does deserve a lot of credit in this game because when Jose Alvarado comes out in the top of the 8th inning and he's allowing a lot of base runners, the dude cannot find the strike zone whatsoever. Granted, he's also not getting help from the home plate umpire, but Alvarado was completely all over the place. Rob Thompson, once Alvarado loaded the bases up, brought in Tanner Banks. What does Tanner Banks do? Get the double play on the first batter he faces in James Wood, and then he gets C.J. Abrams to pop up to end the inning. So you'll trade the run for the double play, obviously, makes it 3-1, and then you get Abrams to pop out. So basically, Tanner Banks did more than not coming into an impossible situation. He did a fantastic job, and that was a fantastic call by Rob Thompson right there. A man that has been taking a lot of fucking harsh criticism over the past so many days, past so many weeks, for his bullpen moves for some reason. And hopefully tonight shuts people up, but then people will also probably say, oh, why did you bring Alvarado in the first place? Because you can't predict Alvarado was going to blow up like that. You really can't. You can't predict that was going to happen. Thankfully, Tanner Banks is a stud, and he came in. I can't believe I actually said that. Tanner Banks, stud, came in, only allowed 1 inherited run to score because you traded that for a double play. So good on them for that. Kerkering comes in for the top of the 9th to get the save. He does allow the solo shot to Garcia, the pinch hitter, but he manages to get the job done nonetheless. Thankfully, this Nationals team is gone. They're so pesky. They're so annoying to face. They're so annoying to watch for some reason because this team just does not quit. They don't die. Now they're done. You won the series here. You move on. New York Mets this week, Citi Field, and the Mets, they also lost their series finale to the Atlanta Braves. I think it was Profar that drove in 2 runs to give the Braves a 4-2 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. Mets made it 4-3 in the top of the 9th, but they managed to get the job done, the Braves that is. And going into the series again in Citi Field, you'll be back up leading the Mets by 7 games in the National League East in a series that could potentially really swing the way that the rest of the division is going to go the rest of the season. Mostly a chance to either put away this Mets team, hold them up for a little bit, or you reel them right back into the division race, which cannot happen. It cannot happen. You do have your ace on the mound, Christopher Sanchez. They're also throwing their ace on the mound in Kodai Senga. So as much as I didn't like the way the team played offensively these past 2 days, they left a lot of meat on the bone against Washington's bullpen. Hopefully, they'll show up like they did against the Seattle Mariners. Now, granted, I'm not expecting them to get 20 hits per day in this series against the Mets, especially in a ballpark historically where they just don't hit well in and they just don't perform well in. Hopefully, with a chance to put away this Mets team, win 2 of 3 at least. You have to win 2 of 3 in this series. Best case scenario is a sweep, which puts you 10 games up in the division, and middle ground is a 2 of 3, where you'll be 8 games up in the division, and then the worst case scenario is you lose the, let's see, so if you lose the series 2 of 3, you would be 6 games ahead of them, I believe. Yes, yeah, 6 games ahead of the Mets, and then if you get swept in this series, it'll be 5. No, it'll be 4. It'll be 4 if I'm doing my math very correctly there. So you need to win this series at least against the Mets to just get more of that separation. Winning 2 of 3 necessarily doesn't kill the Mets, doesn't really put them away for good, but it puts them a little bit away further as you're getting into the month of September, which is a very much important thing because you will be playing the Mets again in a couple of weeks in a 4-game series at Citizens Bank Park. And granted, the Mets, their schedule, they're still playing a lot of, a lot of above 500 teams after this as well, besides like the Miami Marlins. I think they play the Detroit Tigers mixed in there. I believe they have some other teams mixed in there as well that are above 500, including the Phillies. So it's going to be a tough stretch for them after this series against the Phils. So you got to find a way to take care of business in this series. You have your ace, Christopher Sanchez, tomorrow. Jesus Luzardo pitches on Tuesday, and then you'll have Taijuan Walker on Wednesday. So Christopher Sanchez needs to pitch like an ace tomorrow, like he has in that first start that he had against the Seattle Mariners. He has to go out there and shut down the Mets, just in case in the fact that your offense doesn't, hit Kodai Senga. Now, granted, I know the Mets bullpen has not been good since the trade deadline. The Mets in general have not been good since the trade deadline. This is their first series win in a little bit right here. But they need to take care of business against this Mets team. The Mets offense has been better the past few games. A couple of people that have been really heating up for them. Mark Vientos is starting to heat up again, so that's going to be very annoying. I believe Brett Beatty has also been very good for them lately. Lindor, obviously, there's always the threat of Lindor, Soto, and Pete Alonso, of course. So you gotta put this team away. You got to put this team away. You got to go in the Citi Field. You got to go in, balls to the wall, basically, and go in there, show them who's boss, so show them who is better than you, and you got to take a series. You got to take a series. You failed last season to put this Mets team away, and when they were still chasing for that final wild card spot, now you have another chance to put this Mets team away for good, mostly, as they're still fighting for the last wild card spot right now. You don't want them getting any more traction in this division. You want to keep that separation as you get into the month of September, and you do have a very good chance to do that, but you got to take advantage of it. You just need to. You just need to. So, if we just go back to today's game, obviously you win 3-2. Ranger Suarez is the big story of tonight's game. 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, which is also huge. 11 strikeouts, 90 pitches, 63 strikes there for Ranger Suarez. Lowers his ERA to 3.07, so that is 2 very good starts in a row here for Ranger Suarez ever since Zach Wheeler went on the IL and is now done for the season, so that is a major bright sign right there. Overall, your starting pitching, since Zach Wheeler has gone down, has been very solid, has been very good. I know Aaron Nola in that first start against Washington wasn't very good, but basically since then, you had a very dominant performance by Ranger Suarez against Seattle. You had the dominant performance by Christopher Sanchez against Seattle. You had the dominant performance by Jesus Luzardo against Seattle. So basically, your starting pitching dominated Seattle. And then for this series, Taijuan Walker, he had the rough first inning where he allowed 3 runs, but he did settle back into the game and went 5 innings and kept you involved. Aaron Nola with a quality start yesterday, which is very good for his standards. I apologize for the sneezing. Nola with the quality start. Also the uptick in velocity, which does give me a little bit of hope for the Aaron Nola experience. And then with Ranger Suarez, once again, that's 2 starts in a row now with Zach Wheeler going down, where he looked very good. Granted, the velocity is still not there for Ranger Suarez, but it looks like he's working around that, and he is finding ways to pitch around the dip in the velocity and getting outs with that curveball, getting outs with the off-speed pitches, and just finding ways to be good and also locating very well. So, very good stuff there from Ranger Suarez. But like I said, overall, offensively, you did leave a lot of meat on the bone. You went 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Turner technically had one of the hits, but I believe it was a botch. That was a hard hit ball by Turner that went to C.J. Abrams, and Turner was safe because of that. But then basically your lone, real hit with runners in scoring position was Rafael Marchand when he had the double in the gap, which scored 2 runs. And then your other run was because Marchand had the 2-out bases loaded walk, which ended up being the deciding factor in this game. So if you just go over the case of this game, bottom of the first inning, Trey Turner reached on a throwing error. Nothing happened after that. Then you go into the bottom of the second inning. Castellanos with a leadoff single, Bader with a single. So you had first and second for Bryson Stott. He grounds into a fielder's choice, which is first and second, and 2 outs for Marchand. He doubles into the gap, which makes it a 2-0 lead. Turner then reached in on the infield single, so you had first and third for Kyle Schwarber. He walked, which made it bases loaded, 2 outs for Bryce Harper. He swung at the first pitch, and the ball just died at the warning track. Just basically missed the grand slam right there, which is still very frustrating. Bottom of the third inning, Bohm with a leadoff single, Castellanos with a single following that up. So you have first and second there. Brandon Marsh grounded to a fielder's choice. Then Harrison Bader walks. So you have bases loaded, 1 out. Nationals decide to go to the bullpen. Bryson Stott lines out. Still have bases loaded. Marchand walks in a very good at bat, which he fell down 1-2. Fouled off a couple of pitches, and he worked the walk, which brought home the third run. And then Trey Turner put Goodwood on the ball, but once again swinging at the first pitch and hit it right to an outfielder. Top of the fourth inning, Ranger 1-2-3. Bottom of the fourth inning, Phillies go down 1-2-3. Bottom of the fifth inning, Bader with a 2-out walk. Nothing happens there. Bottom of the sixth inning, Schwarber with a 2-out walk. Harper with a 2-out double. And then Bohm strikes out looking on a pitch right down the middle of the plate. Bottom of the seventh inning, you go down 1-2-3, striking out the side. Then top of the eighth, this is when the whole Alvarado situation happens. He allows the leadoff single. Then he walks Hassel on 4 pitches. Then he walks Young in a very long at bat. Then Rob goes to the bullpen, brings in Tanner Banks, gets Wood the ground into that double play, which does trade in for the run, becomes 3-1, and then he gets Abrams to fly out to center field to end the inning. So that was a very good decision by Rob Thompson. Then you get a Ryan Kerkering in the top of the ninth, starts off by striking out Adams. Then Garcia hits the solo shot. Then the last 2 batters, Bell grounds out, and then Cruz grounds out to Trey Turner to end the ball game off there. So like I said, a lot of meat left on the bone from the offense. Overall, Trey Turner went 1 for 4. Kyle Schwarber 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Bryce Harper 1 for 4. Alec Bohm 1 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Nick Castellanos had 2 singles in this game. Brandon Marsh went 0 for 4, so his bat has definitely gone quiet lately. 3 strikeouts. Harrison Bader 1 for 2 with 2 walks. He's definitely been better at the plate a lot lately, so I wonder if they keep him in the lineup more frequently, especially in this Mets series. Bryson Stott went 0 for 4 with a run scored, and then Rafael Marchand drove in all the runs, 1 for 3 with the 2-run double and a bases-loaded walk. So you had 7 hits in totality in today's game. You win the series. That put you up 7 games on the Mets because they did lose against the Braves earlier, so that also helps going into the series against the Mets. And if you look at the schedule, the pitching matchups with the series against the New York Mets, like I said, it's Christopher Sanchez against Kodai Senga. Kodai Senga, he is 7-5 with a 2.58 ERA. He's definitely been allowing some runs in his past few starts. He only went 5 innings against the Washington Nationals, 6 hits, 4 earned runs. Against the Atlanta Braves, 5 2/3, 2 earned runs. Against the Milwaukee Brewers, 4 1/3, 1 earned run. Against the Giants, 4 innings, 4 earned runs. He doesn't go deep in the ball games. He does throw a lot of pitches. You got to get him to throw a lot of pitches. He will walk batters. So you got to make Senga throw a lot of pitches because he does not go deep in the ball games. You got to get to that Mets bullpen very early. Then Jesus Luzardo is going to be on Tuesday. He's going up against Sean Manaea, where Manaea has not been good since coming back from the IL. He's been allowing a lot of runs in his starts. 4 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 5 earned runs in his past 4 starts. So he just has not been good. He has not been good. That is the bottom line. And then it'll be Taijuan Walker on Wednesday against Nolan McLean, who they just called up, who has actually been pretty good in his first 2 starts. 7 innings, 2 earned runs against the Braves, and then 5 1/3, no earned runs against the Seattle Mariners, but he did walk 4 batters. So if there's anything to take out that you can maybe exploit, I guess you can say. What's McLean's numbers down in AAA, actually? What were his numbers down in the minors? Let's see. I want to see his minor league numbers. Let me see. I just want to look at for reference and all that stuff. He's 24 years old. He was a round 3 pick back in 2023. What were his minor league numbers, right? What were his minor league numbers? So he played in Binghamton and Syracuse this year for the Mets prospect system, it looks like. Yeah, he played in AAA and AA. He had a 1.37 ERA in AA this year in 5 games. and then he got called up to AAA. He pitched in 16 games. He had a 2.78 ERA, 5-4 record in 87 innings. He had a WHIP of 1.10. So he was good. So definitely something to look out for right there. Maybe you can give him his first bad starts and being called up. I have no idea, but you do have to get the Kodai Senga. You do have to get the Kodai Senga tomorrow and get to a very struggling Sean Manaea. And then you'll also get to a very struggling Mets bullpen since the trade deadline. You got to do that. And you got to exploit these Mets hitters because they do have the ability, like the Phillies offense, to go very cold. To go very, 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 very cold. But the one thing that is, that like I said earlier on, Mark Vientos is starting to heat up again, and then Brett Beatty, I believe, is also heating up, and then you also have the threat, obviously, with Soto, Lindor, and Alonso. You got to shut those guys down. You got to shut those guys down, and it starts with Christopher Sanchez. It starts with Christopher Sanchez. Yeah, that's basically it. After that series against the Mets, which at this point I'm not even focusing on to this rate because it's against the Atlanta Braves 4-game series. That's the final series in the month of August. You need to focus on these 3 games. You got to focus on these 3 games because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the next 5 series, 2 of those 5 series are against Atlanta. 2 of those 5 series are not against Atlanta. 2 of those 5 series are against New York. So this is a very huge chance for you to put the Mets away. It's a very huge chance for you to put the Mets away. 3 games here in Citi Field, and then September 8th through September 11th, 4-game series at home at Citizens Bank Park. Huge chance to put this team away. Huge chance. And then also those other series mixed in there. The 4-game series, like I said, against Atlanta. The 3-game series on the road against Milwaukee. Then the 3-game series on the road against Miami. And then you go into that backstretch of the season. But these Mets series are very important in terms of putting this team away and trying to really solidify that division lead. Really trying to solidify it. So right now, yep. 76 and 54. That's 22 games above 500. 7 games above the Mets. The Mets, they're 8 games above 500 at 69 and 61. They're 5-5 in their last 10. What else? In terms of the wild card, Mets are 2 games up in that final wild card spot against the Cincinnati Reds. Then the other teams that are looking in, the Diamondbacks are 5 games back. Cardinals are 5 games back, and then basically the other teams are basically just done at that point. San Francisco, Miami, Atlanta. Yeah, those teams are basically done. So it's really just like, the Diamondbacks are like 2 games. Both the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals are 2 games below 500. So not really know what's going to go right there. The Diamondbacks are on a 4-game winning streak, but they've been so this year. Their pitching has just not been good once again. It's really their offense that carries them. So it's realistically just 3rd wild card spot and the Reds, who have been slumping lately. They went on a 3-game. They're on a 3-game losing streak, and they're 5-5 in their last 10. What's the Reds' schedule even look like? The rest of the way. They also just lost this series to the Diamondbacks, so that's probably also a reason why. Let's see, what's the Reds' schedule looking like? Oh boy, they got the Dodgers next after Arizona. Then they play St. Louis. They play Toronto. They play the Mets. They play the Padres, the Athletics, the Cardinals. So the Reds do have a tough schedule. Definitely do. They definitely do. Phillies do have a tough schedule in September, though. They definitely do. I will not deny that because they do play a lot of above 500 teams like the Mets do. Let's see. Yeah, after Atlanta, it's Milwaukee, then Miami, New York, Kansas City, LA, the Dodgers, that is, the Diamondbacks, then 2 series to wrap up the season against Miami and Minnesota. So at this point, Minnesota is just on their fire sale, and they're probably one of the worst teams in baseball at this rate. Yeah, they're 59 and 70, and I guess they just keep losing at this point. Who knows? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, you just gotta bury the Mets. That is the most important thing. You gotta bury the Mets. Gotta bury them. Gotta bury them. Gotta bury them. Gotta bury them. Yeah. Just trying to think. Trying to think what in terms of playoff matchups and all that. I'm not even thinking about playoff matchups actually. I just saw the comment from Julian talking about the Phillies got the 2 seed again. They play the Mets. No, wasn't it well, if the Mets if you're talking about the way if the playoffs were to start today, Phillies are the 2 seed, and if the playoffs were to start today, they would play either. Is it the Mets? Is it the Mets? I'm not sure. No, because we played who either played against the was it the Brewers and the Mets last year? The Phillies or the Phillies? No, I don't think that. Is it the 3-6 winner? Because I remember playing the Braves in 22 and weren't the No, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. For some reason, I think like the best team. Okay, it is the 3-6 winner. Okay. And who's that third team so far in the league? Is it the Dodgers and the Padres? Yeah, it's right now. It's the Dodgers and the Padres. Obviously, the Dodgers and the Padres are playing their series right now. The Padres did win that series, but I think the Dodgers currently are winning 1-0, so they can end up being back tied. They could end up being tied again. No, I think you might be right, Julian. MLB playoff bracket 2025. I just want to see what it would look like. The way it's looked like. So what was it last year? Yeah. So if the postseason started today, okay. So this is not, but this is still a good. Yeah, 2 seed would play 3 or 6. 2 seed would play 3 or 6, and the 1 seed would play either 5 or 4. So yeah. I guess that makes sense just because if you're the 2 seed, you still have a chance to play the third best team, the third division winner. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But the Brewers, they'll play either the two wild card teams, the first or the second wild card team, if that's the case. So you were right. You were right, Julian. In terms of behind, yeah, it's 5 games behind the Brewers. I mean, the Brewers series would be very important in case if you go into that series with the Brewers, it's a 3-game set. Just say if you do get there at a sizable lead, or look at not that much of a deficit going into that series, you could make a case for being the first seed and all that stuff. But yeah, right now you just gotta focus on beating the Mets. You really gotta focus on beating the Mets. And I do think overall the Phillies are a better team than the Mets. It's just that historically playing in Citi Field, they just don't play good in Citi Field. And just the Mets over the past few years have had the Phillies number. It's just crazy. Cal Raleigh hit another home run, and he has the most home runs by a catcher in a single season, and we're only on August 24th. How many home runs is that? 49. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. What else is there? Yeah, it's basically just focusing on the Mets. And I do have that Dodgers and Padres game on in the background on MLB TV. And it looks like Nick Pivetta is pitching right now, and he just struck out Shohei Ohtani. I think the Dodgers almost had a grand slam, and I think fucking one of the Padres robbed it. I forget who was bad. I think it was Teoscar that got robbed. I forget who robbed it. It could have been Laureano, I believe, in center field for the Padres. So that definitely was weird. Yeah. And Seattle could miss the playoffs. Yeah, that definitely is a possibility. Where's Seattle at right now? Seattle's in the third wild card spot. They're 2.5 games above the Kansas City Royals, 4 games above Cleveland, and 4.5 games above Texas. So very interesting. How many games are they back of Houston? 2.5 games behind Houston, and Houston has not been playing good either. It's just nobody wants to know who wants to take over that division. Nobody wants to win. No one wants to have a sizable lead. It's crazy. It is crazy. Then you got the American League East, where the Yankees are now 6 games back at the Blue Jays, and the Red Sox are now in second place. They're 4.5 games back. Detroit's at 78 and 54. They're 10.5 games up in their division. The AL Central is just a complete joke. Same thing with the American League West. The American League just overall is bad this year. That is crazy. There are so many teams that are below 500. It is crazy. It is crazy. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 7 teams that are above 500 in the American League, compared to the National League, where there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, why does it feel like the American League is so worse than the National League? That is crazy. They're both 7. There's only 7 teams above 500 in each league. That is crazy. It feels like the American League is so worse. That is crazy. That is crazy. Maybe it's just the quality of teams. Oh yeah, the National League is bad too, but it's just it just feels like the American League is so worse this year. And here's an update from the Braves' perspective. Chris Sale is penciled to come off of the IL and start Saturday in Philadelphia, of course. Of course. So the Braves are getting one of their pitchers back against the Phillies. Even though you'll never know what his limit will be. But who knows? Okay, I'm stalling a little bit too much here. Let's get to the, we do have a voicemail here from Sean. So we might as well get to that and see what he has to say about this final game going into the Mets series. So, let's see.
Well, Brazier was solid today, darn pretty much near spectacular, and he had to be because our offense inexplicably did a great job getting Irvin out of the game, but couldn't do anything with the powerhouse that is the Nationals bullpen. But I thought the most critical move of the day, and you got to give him credit, and he gets bashed often, was Rob Thompson lifting Alvarado when he did in favor of Tanner Banks.
I agree.
I mean, that saved the Phillies. Banks came in and put the fire out. I mean, a lot of times with two left-handed hitters up, you may have thought about leaving Alvarado out there, but he made the move, and it was the right move. Now, look, I mean, you have the House of Horrors that is Citi Field, but you have a chance to basically put the Mets away starting tomorrow with the guy who's your new ace pitcher on the mound. Memo to Christopher Sanchez, pitch a shutout because against Cody Senga, I think the offense you saw today from the Phillies will carry over to tomorrow. If they score one run off of Senga, I'd be surprised. So just, you got to keep your team relevant. You have to be an ace. If they give up if we score one run, you have to give up none. If they score two runs, the Phillies have to find a way to get three. You can put this team away. You've got to go out there and at least take 2 out of 3 in this series.
I agree. I think that is perfectly said there from Sean. And, yeah, Christopher Sanchez, he has to go and pitch like an ace tomorrow like he did against the Seattle Mariners. That's exactly what he has to do. Zach Wheeler actually did have a statement posted today on his Instagram, and basically just thanking the fans for his support through all this, for the support through all the blood clot stuff. So this is from Zach Wheeler. Thank you for all the support this season. It means the world to me and my family. As many of you know, I'll be having surgery in the coming weeks, which means I'll miss the rest of the 2025 season. It's tough news, but I'm also grateful for all the love and well wishes I've received already. I'm locked in on the work ahead and can't wait to get back in 2026, ready to give everything I got for this team and this city. Thanks for riding with us through it all. Zach Wheeler. Yeah. Definitely stings, but people got to step up. And recently, the starting pitching has stepped up, so we'll see if that continues into the series against the Mets starting tomorrow. But they definitely do. Christopher Sanchez, like Sean said, he has to still pitch like an ace. He has to pitch like an ace. Jesus Luzardo has to do what he did against Seattle. He's got to go out there. He's got to dominate. Got to go out there. He's got to dominate. Is there any I'm just trying to see what the because someone made a record. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, I cannot find the. Is there okay. That's not the. That's not what I want. I'm trying to someone brought up the fact that the Mets don't have a good record this year against lefties. I'm trying to see if I can find that because ESPN does not show me that. It does not. Oh, here it is. Actually, it does show me it. The Mets this year. Well, the Phillies also haven't been good against left-handed pitching. The Mets are 18-17 against lefties. And I think one of those losses was against Jesus Luzardo this year. I want to see Christopher Sanchez's performance this year when it comes to playing. I think he's pitched against the Mets once, if I'm not mistaken, Christopher Sanchez. I don't remember him pitching in that series back in Philadelphia a couple of months ago, in June, or was it July or something like that? I gotta see. Nope, he has pitched against the Mets once, and it was 2 innings in Citi Field, where I believe he was dealing with some type of back injury or shoulder. It was like elbow injury or something like that. But then basically ever since then, he's been very good. So, need a good version of Christopher Sanchez today. Need a very good version of Christopher Sanchez today. Yeah, it was 2 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts on 58 pitches. It said something felt off. Something felt off with him in that start. Yeah. Then go to Jesus Luzardo. I think he only pitched against the Mets once this year, and that was that Sunday Night Baseball game where he did pitch very good. I think it was only that start, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was only that start. He went 6 2/3, allowed 3 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts on 107 pitches. Yeah, so very good stuff there. So hopefully he can just continue that as well. And I think Taijuan has pitched against the Mets this year, but still, that was like early season Taijuan Walker. This is the new version of Taijuan Walker. Did he pitch against the Mets? No, he pitched against the Mets on that Friday baseball game on Apple where he allowed 2 earned runs in the first inning, so he wasn't good. And I think he was starting that game as an opener. The Phillies basically pitched the bullpen game then. So that wasn't when he was fully back into the starting rotation. He was just in there as an opener. So they really haven't faced a new version of Taijuan. I'm not even trying to go fully into that joke. Not trying to fully go into that bit. You just got to fucking take care of this Mets team. You really just need to. I need it for my sanity. I would love to see a series win in New York. What was the last time the Phillies won a series against the Mets in Shea Stadium? Not Shea Stadium, fucking in Citi Field. I can't even tell you the last time they've done that. Could not even tell you. I don't think they did it last year. They obviously haven't done it this year. Let's see. When was the last time the Phillies won a series against the Mets in New York? They didn't do it last year. I don't think they did. That was the London series, so I don't think that counts. No. Can you count that? This wasn't the London series yet. It was like the 4-game series where it was like 2 games on the road, 2 games at home against the Mets, and they won both games in New York, and one of those games was the Aaron complete game shutout. Does that count as winning a series in New York? Winning a 2-game series, like sweeping a 2-game series? I guess you could say that counts. Who the hell's texting me? Was that the only series? Well, that wasn't the only series they played in New York. Did they do anything in 2023 against the Mets in Citi Field? Oh my god, well, the updates are coming at once. They got swept against the Mets in Citi Field in 2023 in one of the series. What about the second half? I'm just trying to look at a 3-game series. When was the last time they won a 3-game series in Citi Field? And they lost the final series of the year in Citi Field. But I think the Mets weren't in the play. I don't even know. It was 2023. I don't think they did it in 2022 either. I don't think they did. I know one of those series was involved with the combined no-hitter. No, they didn't do it in 2022 either. When was the last time they won a series in Citi Field? Like 3-game series. When was the last time? No, they got swept in that one. That's against the Mets normally. Citi Field. That was a 4-game series that they split. No, I don't think they did. Don't think they did it in 2021 either. No, not in 2021. No, they did. They did in 2021. September 17th through September 19th, they won a 3 games. They won a 2 of 3 game series there in the 2021 season. That was the last time they won a 3-game series in Citi Field. It was 2021. Crazy. The 2026? No, it did not. So, like, part of the 2026 schedule, I think, came out, which was basically just the announcement for the Field of Dreams games next year, where the Phillies are going to be playing the Minnesota Twins, which originally Bob Nightingale said it was going to be the Mets. But then, no, of course, Bob Nightingale's wrong, and he got the opponent wrong. It's the Twins, and it's going to count as a home game for the Twins. So, that's a weird matchup. But, that's cool. Phillies are playing one of those neutral game sites again, and it's in the Field of Dreams. They haven't done that in a couple of years because obviously they probably realized that doing it every once a year was going to get stale. So they delayed a couple of years. They bring the Phillies back. That'll be interesting. Hopefully the Phillies will make a good jersey out of that. I hope so. But yeah, overall, got to win the series against the Mets. 2 of 3, that's all I'm asking. And the Padres, they just took the lead off of a Diaz 2-run shot. It is now 2-1 in the bottom of the third. Elias Diaz. Padres might be going on to sweep the Dodgers, but it's still only a 2-1 game in the bottom of the third inning. Let's go to the comments before I end it off here. Jose, let's sweep the Mets and get ahead 10 games in the standings. I hope that's the case. I can't bank on them sweeping the Mets in Citi Field just due to history. I just can't. Who gets called up in September? I feel like Justin Crawford gets called up. I feel like that's when they'll call him up in September. Maybe you see some extra bullpen help or something like that. Not entirely sure. I don't think Andrew Painter gets called up at all. I really feel like the only one you might see is Justin Crawford, but I'm just not entirely sure. Let's see. If it was offense not even hitting half of what they did against Seattle is the worry and always will be why going into the playoffs. Kyle Schwarber was asleep this series and back to the same old story. If they don't hit home runs, they don't score much. Okay. I trust Banks over anyone except Duran at this point. Kerkering, I don't know the mean. Seems like it's never easy when he pitches in a pressure spot. He's still young. Like, you gotta also, I think he's like, what is he, like 24 now? They called him up when he was like, what, 22? He's still very young, so I think he'll eventually ease into that. I think his one issue is he just doesn't use the fastball enough against lefties, especially. I think he overuses the sweeper against lefties, and especially he hung that one to Garcia, and it got sent out of the ballpark. I think once he fully commits to making the sinker / the fastball his primary pitch, especially against lefties, I think that's when he'll finally fully break out. And it's not even saying that Kerkering's been bad. It's just like certain situations, just like, dude, come on, like pitch better. But still young. He still has many years to improve. But it's also because you have World Series aspirations. At worst, you can't get swept by the Mets with how bad they play here. Yeah. Phillies have the second biggest lead for a division, and I believe they ever blow this, it would be epic. Don't bring it into existence, Julian. Have to bury them? Yep. September's schedule isn't easy at all. Oh, no doubt. Yeah, they play a lot of tough teams, both the Phillies and the Mets. KC, LA, Arizona, Milwaukee, New York, but the Phillies always seem to show up against the good teams. It's the shit teams they struggle against. Everyday Phillies, how you doing, man? Finally caught me live. Thanks for the shows. I appreciate it. I appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate it. They need a minimum spending floor in this sport. I'm not even sure they're. I know they are considering the cap, obviously, but and they're also considering the expansion with the division realignment and all that crap, which most likely you might see Phillies, Yankees, Mets, and Red Sox in one division, and that'll be a fucking bloodbath. Jesus Christ, if that ever happens. My God, I would be terrified. I'd be stressing every time we play those teams. But I guess it also does improve rivalries, I guess you could say that. But yeah, please, for the love of God, please, for the love of God, win this series against the Mets. Please win a series against the goddamn New York Mets in Citi Field, especially. No, that would be the most toxic division. And oh yeah, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston. Yeah, that would be terrible. That would be terrible. That would be terrible in terms of the toxicness. Jesus Christ. But appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. I don't think I'm gonna go live during any of the games this week. I feel like that would be too much stress on my hands because I stress enough when they play the Mets in general just because of past history. But obviously you'll get the recaps after every game, so you'll have those, bearing any breaking news. So appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. You can also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Don't pass it up. And yeah, we're back at it tomorrow night. Hopefully after a Phillies win in the series opener against the New York Mets. Hey, my God, that is crazy. do it on the final game. Oh God, that means you'll be live streaming during a Taiwan Walker performance, and a possibility to either win a series, or sweep a series, or salvage a series, or blah 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 blah. That would terrify me. Honest to God, maybe would do it for the memes. But we'll see. But thanks guys. Play it by ear.